So every year, thousands of the world's brightest students, engineers, pre-med, the business people, STEM, anything, they drop everything else to go after investment banking. They sacrifice their sleep, they sacrifice their social lives, they even sacrifice their sanity to pursue these jobs. And they're doing it all for a job that's harder than almost anything else on the planet. So why do they do it? Why are they pushing themselves so hard for something that's also going to be really hard? Well, most people, they can't answer that question effectively, and that's why they don't get the job in the first place, is because they can't really communicate what they're looking for and why. So today I'm going to debunk some of the most common myths about investment banking and what it is. I'm going to communicate what it actually is in plain English so you can decide if it's a good fit for you and communicate that in an interview or in other settings and actually go do the job well if you end up in this industry. So let's start out by talking about what people think investment banking is. So people think investment banking is one of three things. The first part is they think that it's just a bunch of rich guys walking around in suits, talking on phones, emailing people, and making a bunch of money. Now that's like partly true, and we'll get into what parts of that are true, but that's just the surface. The second thing people know about investment banking is Excel. Lots and lots of Excel and financial models, and turns out that's actually not a huge part of the job. It's important, and perhaps it's the most important part of your job as an analyst, but it's not the most important job of investment banking broadly. And third, people know that it's basically no sleep, you're working 100 hours a week, and you're grinding yourself to get these deals done. And that part's actually true. But let's break down what investment banking actually is. So at the core of it, investment banking is helping companies raise money and make big decisions. So I'm just gonna say that one more time because that's the core of it. Investment banking is the process of helping companies to either make really important strategic decisions or to raise capital. And so let's break that down into two chunks. So the first side is the raise money side of things. And so raising money, basically picture a company like Anthropic that's trying to build a really cool AI model. And they need hundreds of billions of dollars to train engineers and use data centers and build this technology. And they don't know where to get that money. And so they might come to an investment banker and say, well, help me find $100 billion to do this thing that we're trying to do. And the investment banker will say, yeah, no worries, I've got you. And they'll help them raise money in one of two ways. The first is equity, and the second is debt. So let's break these down a little bit more. So equity, this is ECM, equity capital markets. This is a common division of an investment bank where they help companies like Anthropic raise money through stocks. And so they'll go out and they'll talk with institutional investors, they'll talk with hedge funds, they'll talk with mutual funds, large asset managers, and high net worth individuals, and they'll say, hey, we've got this really cool company. We think that you should invest some money in it. Are you interested? Here's the price, here's the details. And they'll go out and build an entire story, they'll build a pitch deck, and they'll solicit investments in the equity of a business. Now, the most popular type of equity capital markets in terms of like being the most well-known version of equity capital markets is an IPO, an initial public offering. And so an investment bank will help companies raise money on public stock markets from normal investors like you and me buying shares on Robinhood and other areas. And that's an IPO, which is a subset of ECM, equity capital markets, which is a subset of the ways that an investment bank helps a company raise money. Now, Anthropic might say, hey, I don't want to raise equity, I want to raise debt. And we'll do a whole bunch of other videos on the trade-offs between equity and debt, but they'll help the company raise debt, they'll help them get bonds, and that's debt capital markets, DCM. And so a bank might also do a little bit of both. They might say, hey, we'll help you raise some equity and some debt, we'll help you get a mix of both. So fundamentally though, they'll say, okay, whatever money you need, we'll help connect you with the people and the institutions that have that money so that you can continue your operations and build whatever it is you're trying to build. Okay, so the second way that investment banks help companies is by making decisions. Now you might say, wait a second, isn't that just consulting? Well, kind of, yeah, actually. It's a very specialized and very elite type of consulting that only works with the most strategic structural decisions that a company faces. And so the common decisions that an investment bank will get hired to help make are things like M&A and restructuring and activism. So let's break these down a little bit more. So M&A. This is basically where one company says, hey, I want to acquire another company, or another company reached out to me to acquire us. Whatever the case may be, we need to make a decision about whether or not we're going to maintain our independence as an independent entity, or we're going to join forces with another company. So that's M&A. It can often be perceived as the most sexy or the most well-known version of investment banking, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. The other type of decision making that investment banks often help with is restructuring. So what do I mean by restructuring? Well, a lot of times companies do really well and they don't need to think about restructuring, but when things go poorly, when they hit up against a bankruptcy or when they lose out on cash and things like that, they need to figure out how they're going to restructure things to continue operating as an entity. And so restructuring investment banking helps navigate that sort of gray, murky area between the law, like the legal, are we going bankrupt side of things, and the financial, where's the cash, how do we get money, how do we change our debt, how do we change our equity, how do we convince our investors to continue supporting us. And so restructuring is a very intellectual, very cool part of investment banking and decision making. Now the third major bucket of decision-making advice that an investment bank will provide to a firm is activism. And so activism defense usually is basically where a company is getting attacked by a hostile party that's coming to try and take them over. It sounds dramatic, and it is dramatic, and they're basically saying, here's how to avoid that, here's how to defend against that, here's the shareholder dynamics, and they're basically a general in a war between a hostile bidder for a company and the management team and the company itself. And banks can get hired on both sides of that war. So that's decision making. We've got M&A, we've got restructuring, we've got activism and activism defense. Now between these two, that's what investment banking is. It's helping companies raise money and make decisions. But the fundamental principle that's really important to remember, and a lot of people mix this up because the word bank, you usually think of that in a consumer context where like the bank's giving you a mortgage or something like that, is that most investment banks, they're not primarily giving their own money. They're giving advice. And so your expertise and your ability to give strategic advisory is what generates millions and millions and tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars in fees for these banks. It's not their own capital that they're lending out. Sometimes they also do that, but the value is largely in the strategic advice. And so that is a little bit more similar to consulting, I suppose. So what does that mean for your day-to-day job in investment banking? Well, for those of you who are looking to be an analyst or an associate out of undergrad or an MBA or an MSF program or something like that, you'll primarily spend your time on three things. So the first thing is on pitch books. And so this is where you're going out and you're talking to these companies and saying, you should hire us to help with the capital raise, or you should hire us to help with the decision making. And so a pitch book will be about a third of your time where you're building PowerPoints, you're going in there, you're researching the issues that the companies are working on and saying, here's how I would help you solve that. And then the company goes and selects whichever bank pitches that most effectively. The second thing is modeling. This is the sexy part, the Excel that everyone talks about, but you're really only spending maybe a third of your time on modeling. And so all of this stuff here requires a lot of financial analysis to be rigorous. You can't just raise equity without figuring out the implications for the company and for the shareholders in a financial model. You can't go and do a restructuring, a Chapter 11 bankruptcy or something like that without figuring out who gets what money and where it all goes. And so it can be very, very complex Excel models. Now, the third part of your job is actually doing deals. And so, believe it or not, only about a third of your job is actually spent like reaching out to the debt holders and the equity holders and trying to convince them to invest, or actually doing the analysis associated with a live deal and recommending something to the board of directors for a company. And so the deal execution is a smaller piece than you'd actually expect, but you have to do the pitch books and the modeling and the sourcing and things like that in order for the deal execution to actually ever happen. So it's kind of have to have both. Now, last but not least, the part that a lot of people don't talk about in junior level investment banking roles is there's a secret fourth job here, which is sitting at your desk looking busy while you wait for someone else to give you feedback on what you already submitted. And so when I was an investment banking analyst, there would be hours at a time where I would just be sitting at my desk, like kind of plucking around at Excel and PowerPoint, trying to look like I was busy, so when my boss walked by, they would think I was doing a good job. When in reality, I was just waiting for the person to email me back and give me comments on the deck that I was working on. So that's the secret fourth bucket that you've got to do, and it's kind of a funny element of investment banking. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here. We've talked about what people think investment banking is, what it actually is. We've talked about raising capital and making decisions and what the day-to-day is. So I want to finish by talking about why you actually might be interested in investment banking. But the first reason is the money. Like that part, it is actually true. This is one of the highest paid jobs straight out of college, with first-year analysts making upwards of 200 or sometimes even 220 or 230K at top banks. The second thing is the training. Investment banking is the single best training that you can get straight out of undergrad. It's going to teach you how to think. It's going to teach you how to build financial models and think numerically. It's going to teach you how to interact with CEOs and investors. It's going to help you operate professionally at a very high level. And so If you're thinking about getting a master's degree or going to grad school, consider just going to investment banking, make a bunch of money, and get paid to learn. Third, the brand. People who have gone through investment banking, they get a brand behind them. And I'm not just saying like a bank's brand. Like sure, if you go to Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley or Catalyst and Lazard, where I did my banking, people are going to respect that, they're going to know what that means, and they're going to trust you to be financially literate and to be communicative with executives and things like that. But the brand also extends just to the skill set that you have. Like they know that they can trust you with certain types of analyses because you've done investment banking. Fourth is the exit opportunities. So a lot of people only go into investment banking for a couple of years and then they exit to other areas of finance and business that are only available to people that have done investment banking. So investment banking is kind of the gateway to the high finance world. It's that standardized, rigorous training that gets you in the door to other areas of finance if you want to go somewhere else. And so I'm talking about PE and hedge funds, venture capital, and even top MBA programs like Stanford and Harvard that draw from a lot of investment bankers and other areas of high finance. And so this often is where the real money is made in finance. Although you're doing just fine in investment banking, a lot of the world's billionaires come from like PE and hedge funds and venture capital. And so if you're really shooting for the fences in terms of economic returns, you need to do investment banking probably to end up in the areas that you're looking for. So that's why people do IB. But it comes at a cost. Like you're working extremely hard. There were some weeks where I was putting in 110, 120 hours a week, even more than that. And that means that you're sleeping very little every day, 7 days a week, working basically from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. And what that means is this is a trade-off. Sure, the rewards are incredible, and it does get better the longer you stay in the industry. But to some extent, you're trading part of your 20s to have a better life in your 30s and beyond. You're trading the time in school when you could have been hanging out with your friends and going to parties and things like that to study for these incredibly difficult jobs. And you're working during your 20s on an incredibly difficult job so that later on you can relax a bit more, you can retire, you can have the power, the influence, and the resources that you want to do the things that you need to do with your life. So that's the trade-off here, but hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully this makes a little bit more sense about what investment banking is and why you might consider it as a career. So we've talked about what investment banking is and why you might want it. But the other big thing that we didn't talk about yet is how to get these jobs. And because it's so economically lucrative and because it's so prestigious, it's frankly very competitive. So how to get these jobs is a huge question, and that's what we specialize at Wall Street Mastermind. We've helped over 2,000 students land jobs at top banks like Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley. And we have a really specialized system that teaches you how to network, how to do behaviorals, how to do technicals, and ultimately how to land the job that you're looking for. And so if you want to learn more about this, please like, please subscribe, drop a comment in terms of other videos that you'd like to see us make, and would love to see you on the inside of the program.